All right, welcome everybody. Let's do this. So this is the second part of lesson 31. So let's take a look at the intro. If I said, what does a line look like? Okay, that's what a line looks like. But what's the equation of a line, right? The equation of a line is some y equals mx plus b. What about a parabola, right? Some x squared. It looks like this. What about the square root of x? Let's see. Do you remember what this looks like? Right? This looks like that. Okay. What about the absolute value of x? It looks like this, right? It looks like some v. What about the equation for a circle, right? We know a circle looks like this, but what does the equation of it look like? And it is this over here, okay? Now this looks like, oh my god, mister, this looks like a lot, but it's not that bad. So what I want you to do is just take a second and write it down, right? Here it says the equation of a circle is equal to x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where hk represents the center of the circle and this r represents the radius of the circle. Okay, so write that down. Now that you have that, let's take a look at this part of the chapter, this part of the lesson over here. So here, what is it asking us to do? Let's take a look at the first one. It says x squared plus y squared equals 49. What I want you to do for this lesson is, before you start doing anything, I want you to go to desmos.com, okay? And if you go to this website, it allows you to put this into the website, into the graphing section, and you'll visually see what this looks like. And in the next lesson, I'll show you how to use it with the calculator, but Desmos is really nice. So while you're doing this lesson on your own, plug each one of these equations into Desmos so you see what it looks like. But let's take a look here. Here, if you have x squared plus y squared equals 49, notice, what is your center of your circle? Well, the center is stated as h and k, but we don't have any h and k here, so we're just going to say that the center is 0, 0. Okay? And if you see it on Desmos, it'll really help you understand what's going on here. Now, what's the radius of the circle? Here, the radius of the circle is not 49, but instead, it's equal to the square root of 49. So this is 7. So our radius here is 7. Okay? Let's take a look over here. What is your center for this one? Your center will be 0, 0. And your radius will be the square root of 324, and that's r is equal to 18. Okay. Once you put these into Desmos, it'll be much nicer. Okay. I recommend that you don't continue unless you go to Desmos. Okay. So what about here? What does question 2 over here look like? I'm sorry, question 3. Here, what is the center of your circle here? Now here, your center. Here, you see how it says x plus 2? So your center will not be, the x value of your center will not be 2, it'll be negative 2. Because the idea is, if I were to plug in negative 2 in here, it becomes x minus a negative 2 squared. But what does that become over here? That becomes x plus 2 squared, okay? And that will give us this. So our center, our x value is negative 2, and the y value will be positive 3. So this means visually the center should be 2 to the left and 3 up, and this is the center of your circle. And what's the radius? Well, the radius is the square root of 183, and that's I don't know, somewhere between 13 and 14, whatever that is. Okay, and your circle should look something like, it'll be a pretty big circle over there. Okay, what about the next part? What's the center? What's the radius? Okay, what I want you to do is just try and do them on your own. Okay, here, what's your center? It should be negative 7, negative 8, and your radius is the square root of 64, which is 8. Okay, what about the next one? Here, your center is negative 10, negative 9, and your radius is the square root of 36, which is 6. Okay. What about here? Your center is negative 5, 10, and the radius, your r value should be 3. Okay, next one. Your center will be 0, negative 2, and the radius is 11. Next one. Your center is 14, comma 2, and your radius is the square root of 4, which is 2. Okay? Now let's look at the next part. The next part is saying, imagine if you have the center and you have the radius, create the equation with the given properties. So you know what's the equation for the radius, the equation of a circle. It's some x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay? So imagine if your center is 3, 4 and the radius is 3, how can you create the equation that represents these two attributes of your circle? It'll be x minus 3 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals, well, what is 3 squared? 3 squared is 9. So here it equals 9. Okay? Don't write 3 squared. Write 9. Okay. Try the next few by yourself. Okay? Here, what would your equation be? It would be x plus 3 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 81. Okay? And why is it 81? 9 squared, yeah? Okay, let's look at this one. Now don't freak out with the symbols. Just trust yourself. It'll be x minus, and how do you read this? This is alpha. This is beta. And this, how do you read this symbol? Your favorite Pokemon, it's called mu. Okay, that's how you pronounce this symbol, mu. And this is beta. So x minus alpha squared plus y plus beta squared equals mu squared, whatever mu is. Okay. What about this one here? Don't freak out. Just x plus 2 over 3 squared plus y minus a half squared equals, well, what's the square root of 3, the whole thing squared? That's just 3. And that's it. Okay. Let's look at the next part over here. Here, this part's pretty fun. Please ignore this line over here that's on your paper. But here, you just have to identify the center and radius, and sketch the graph. So here, if you know, well, let's see. Let's look at try this one by yourself. What's the center? What's the radius? Right? Okay, well, if your center has to be -1, actually, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, much better. So your center is -1, 2, and what's your radius? 3. So then how do you actually draw the circle? So let's go to the center. Where is the center? It is -1, and let me zoom in a little bit. Actually, no, this is pretty good. -1 up to, so this is the center of your circle, okay? Now the radius is 3. So that means you're gonna have to go 3 to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 3 up, 1, 2, 3, 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3, and 3 down, 1, 2, 3. And the idea is, this is your circle over here. It's not a perfect circle, but that's the general idea of it. It has to, this is the center of it, and here your radius is 3. So it has to go 3 all around from the center. Okay? And this is the equation that represents the circle. Try the next one by yourself. Okay? What's the center? Right? Center. Radius. Okay? Here your center is -2, -3, and your radius is 2. So where is -2, -3? -2, -3 is over here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now you just go 2 to the right, up, left, and down. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, wait, I messed up. Sorry. One, this 2 should be here, not that one. 2 and 2. And then this is your circle. Okie dokie. The rest is pretty self-explanatory. Like, this really isn't too bad. It's here, you know, what's your radius? 5. Here, what's your radius? Oh, okay. Well, this one, what do you think the square root of 8? Like, this should be between what? You know, take your time and figure it out. But this is like between 3 and 4, closer to 4. Because the square root of 9 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Oh, I'm sorry. This should be between, sorry. 2 and 3. Okay. The square root of 9 is not 4. I am losing my mind. So this should be between 2 and 3. Closer to 3. Okay. And this one is pretty self-explanatory. This one, not too bad. This one, easy peasy. This one, how do you do this one? Well, just, you know, you can pause the video and try and do it. But here, what's your center? Your center is negative 5 over 2, comma, square root of 14. So let's just see, what is negative 5 over 2? That's equal to negative 2.5. And square root of 14 is, I don't know, it's close to 3.3 or something. You know, it's between 3 and 4. Okay? And that's the general idea. So here, what we do is, where is your center? It's 1, 2. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, so it should be 1, 2 here, and 3.3 up. So 1, 2, 3 here. That should be your center. Okay, notice it's like in the middle of it, right? Because this is 2 and that's 4. The way this is scaled, yeah. So then you just have to do, what's your radius? Your radius is 3. So you just go kind of like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Give or take. Doesn't have to be perfect. The idea is you're just getting a sketch. Okay, kind of looks like a cookie. All right, that's it for this part of the lesson. And actually, this is done. We're done for day 1. Pretty easy, right? This part. The next part gets day 2 gets a little more challenging, and that'll be for the next lesson. Okay, enjoy.